So I'm Chloe Grant. I'm 16 years old. This year I've been racing in the brand new GB4 Championship. It's my first ever year in single seaters. 2021, I won the Junior Saloon Car Championship scholarship. So that was my big move up to cars. I did that for a year, which was a great experience. And prior to that, I did 7 years of kart racing. I got into karts because my older sister Lucy started before I did, and she started just purely because of inspiration from the Ayrton Senna movie. And luckily, our dad, he didn't actually tell us he used to be involved in karting, but he knew some people from when he did it secretly without telling us. So he managed to get in contact with them and they helped Lucy to start. And I think I watched her for about 2 years. And that's when I decided I might try this out a bit. And then obviously gradually, year by year, as I've moved up classes, I fell more in love with the sport. I'd say, obviously, when I was younger, who inspired my sister as well, Ayrton Senna, he's the reason we started racing, to be honest with you. So he's our biggest inspiration. But as I've grown up, I've met closer role models as well. Lewis Hamilton's one, obviously. He's absolutely huge, incredible role model. He's one of the only drivers that hasn't come from a really wealthy background and he still managed to make it to Formula One. And I think he's a really good inspiration to a lot of young kids and obviously people around my age as well. And then more recent days, I really look up to my driver coach Gordy Match. I've seen how he works behind the scenes and on track, and I've never seen a more dedicated driver. If people saw the Gordy from 2 years ago compared to the Gordy today, he's worked so hard in the gym. He's lost a ridiculous amount of weight. He's an unbelievable driver on track. He's been with Jimmy Broadbent and he's made Jimmy a better driver. And now Jimmy's come from sim racing to racing, real life, and he's had such a good coach that he's become a really good driver himself. I really look up to him. And then obviously Jamie Chadwick and Alice Powell, being able to see them in W has been really inspirational as well. So yeah. It's really difficult being in this sport and having to make lots of sacrifices. I'll be honest, I've lost a lot of friend groups because of it, just because they don't understand it. But at the same time, because of motorsport, I've made so many friends, and they're lifetime friends that I'll always have, and they're the most important ones because it's the industry I'm in. It's people I'll see the most. So the ones that I used to have at school, when I went to high school, they didn't get it and they didn't understand why I was away all the time, and they thought, oh, she's not here, but it's okay. You move on from it. And studies it was really difficult when I was in high school, but because I'm in college now and I'm a Motorsport UK's course, it's a lot easier. They've based the course and they've programmed it so that it works really well around test days and racing, so that if you do miss anything, it's really easy to catch up on. So it works really well, to be honest with you. My family are really supportive, and I see them every time I come home, obviously. And at the moment, because I'm still 16, my dad's the one driving me all around the country at the moment. But in 3 months' time, he won't be doing that anymore. And I think when I'm driving, it's going to be quite difficult for him to understand that he has to stay at work this time, and I can officially be able to go to test days on my own. My dad's my biggest supporter, and my family are really great. I can't even put a number on that. I think you're almost there the entire time. The only time I really leave where I'm supposed to be is to go to the bathroom, and that's it. If you're not in the car, you're looking at data or you're doing your warm up. It's just constant non-stop, but I wouldn't trade it for anything else. That was a weird thing. In karting, I wait till I saw the checkered flag from the last race to get in the cart because I feel like if I sit down, I get tired. So I get scared because in cars, you have to get in the car so early and I don't want to get tired. So I actually just, you know how you have your drink that you have the bit long straw? I just keep drinking that the entire time so that I stay awake because I have to keep moving. But then obviously once you start going, start get on track, it's fine. But yeah, as soon as you're back to the hotel, pass out. It's gone. Huge. I mean, I'm so lucky and grateful for the opportunity that Laser Tools Racing gave me this year. I think obviously it was very last minute, so there was a lot of other drivers that had like 20 test days or more. Like, I think everyone had like more than 10, whereas me and my teammate, we were so last minute. We had 2 test days and then it was go to your race weekend now. And prior to that, I had done saloons, so I'd been racing a saxo for a year. So going from just reaching 100 mph to 140, a front wheel drive to a rear wheel drive, and having a roof to not having a roof. There was so many changes in the car, and obviously, I wasn't I wasn't fully ready, I would say, but it's been I've always kind of wanted to be thrown in the deep end because I feel like it's the best way to learn. And people from the outside, they see it and they make their opinion on it because they don't see what's going on behind the scenes and they don't know you as a driver. So they just sometimes people can make judgments that aren't exactly true. But it's been my learning year, and that's the point of why I've not, been having amazing results. I've been learning. So yeah, and next year, whatever I do next year, we will be getting results next year. So that's the whole point of obviously having a learning year. But I think I'd never even expected to be in single seaters, to be honest with you. I just thought when I came up to cars, I saw the reality of it with money, and I saw actually how many routes there are. So I genuinely never ever thought I would ever be racing F4. So it's been a dream come true, and I've loved every single minute of it. And I'm hoping to progress in single seaters and continue, because I think I still have more to learn. But at the same time, I want to show everybody what my true capability is because I feel like I haven't had the exact chance to show that yet. Um, I don't think any of it was hard for me to understand. I just think it took me a lot longer to adapt to than I hoped it would. Usually when I jump into something, straight into it, go. But I think because it was just completely opposite to anything I've ever driven, yeah, it took longer than I hoped. It was genuinely. I thought what was actually really weird was not having a roof, genuinely, because I had a road, like I had a car for a whole year that, and I was having to duck to get in, and now I was just getting straight in it. That was actually really weird, like the first test day. So just having my head out in the open again, like out in the cart, you obviously are out in the open. So that was strange at first, but obviously I settled into that quickly. I think rear wheel drive, obviously, because I had never raced that before. I actually really like the rear wheel drive though. I think it's what most cars actually are, but for racetracks. But yeah, no, I did really enjoy it. Trying to think as well, obviously having downforce, that was a strange one. And I've had the experience of losing a wing and knowing what it's like to not have a downforce on an F4, and that's even weirder. So yeah, it's just single seaters are the cars are just so incredible, you can't really describe them. And I've never driven a GB3 before, but I've been to test days where I've had a teammate that's testing GB3, and I've watched their footage and spoke to them, and they're just like in love with the car. Like as you move up, you just get more and more in love with it. I just think I'm just actually really grateful that we have this sport. Like, what would so many of us be doing if we didn't have it? It's amazing, and the cars are just so good. I can't explain that. I'm in love with them. Hardest moment, I can tell you that. So my hardest moment, I mean, I've had, in motorsport you have more downs than ups, unfortunately. So it's been a hard year. I'll admit it has been a really hard year. But we saw progression that we needed to see, and I have learned so much that I never thought I would. My hardest moment would have been the last round at Donington. last race, starting, I think I was starting P2. Um, I didn't get the greatest of starts, and I was going into turn one, and I unfortunately ended up in the middle of a sandwich. And once you're in the middle of the sandwich, and some people, that person on the outside isn't aware that there's someone on your inside, and the person on your inside doesn't know there's someone on your outside, and then they obviously just go in, and then you're stuck in the middle. And that was, I ended up going off and DNF. That was my race over, and it was a shame to finish the season that way. I mean, I wanted to, try and prove what everything I learned in that race, but unfortunately it didn't get to happen. But it's what it is. The best moment would be at Brands Hatch when I went from P7 to P4. It was just Brands GP and me, we get along. It was a good track. It was my first weekend having my driver coach Gordy Much, actually. He really pushed me, and I think it was quite difficult though, because we didn't have the testing we really wanted. Prior to, we had gearbox issues in both test days, so I didn't get a lot of track running. So we were kind of just praying as going into the race weekend, but I mean, it proved that we still had I had the confidence, we had the pace, and we weren't actually far off the pace either. It was just a shame I didn't get that good enough qualifying, obviously, to start higher up within the mix. But getting P4 was my best result of the year. I was really, really happy with it. So yeah. So the Girls on Track program, it was a lot, how do I say, it was a lot more professional, and I learned a lot more than I expected to. I've done I've done a few scholarships type things now, and it's kind of just test, 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 go, and you don't really learn anything from it. They're just testing you. Whereas Girls on Track, we got tested, put through our limits, and then they gave us feedback, and we obviously met people from all over the world, met friends that we never thought we'd have. And I think, yeah, we just learned so much as drivers as well that will help to develop all of us in the future. It was quite intense, I'll admit. 24/7, you're being evaluated, and it was such a big prize that you want to just give your absolute all. I mean, that's one thing I can say. I did walk away from that giving my absolute all. So it is what it is, and a huge congratulations to Oriella. She was really good, actually. To be fair, she was quick. She was good. She was tough competition, but yeah, she's a lovely girl as well. I think the main part for me was getting to go to the FDA, and basically we were a part of the FDA for a week, and it was really good, actually. It was a great experience to see what all their drivers are doing when obviously they're not at the track and when they're training, and I definitely think they are doing the correct things. The gym session that we done was so good. Like, when when you come out aching immediately, it's been absolutely brilliant. Meeting all the people there, making those contacts as well, getting to drive Fiorano, I think that was huge as well. I mean, it was a good track. It was really good, and it's an experience I'll never forget. Driving Fiorano at the FCA in Italy. Never thought I'd be doing that. So yeah, I loved every minute of it. Yeah, I think the F1 Academy, I think it's absolutely brilliant. Obviously everyone knows about it now. I think the thing with things like F1 Academy and W, I had a debate, shall we say, with a few boys from college a couple of weeks ago about it, actually. I think people do need to understand the reason behind these championships being created. The reason is not because women, they're weak and they need the championship to compete against themselves. No, that is not it. The reason is finance. If you look at the amount of people there are in motorsport, the amount of women, the amount that make it to Formula One and then bring money into it, finance, it's so expensive. I cannot stress enough how expensive it is to be in motorsport. And when you look at the amount of girls there actually is and the ones who could afford it, it's a very, very, very low number. So they're making these championships to try and give the opportunity. It's not to try and raise us above men. We're not. We're all equal. We're in an equal sport, and the best driver, not the best man or woman, the best driver will win. And it's simple. And if any girls go into W or F1 Academy, and if they aren't the best driver and they don't exactly have the skills that are needed to reach the top level, it's simple, they just won't go forward. And it's just some people got quite someone I was talking to, quite a few of them were upset, like, well, how come you guys get your own championship? And I was just trying to explain to them that it is money and that it's simple. If the driver isn't good enough, they won't progress. It's just like that. But I think it's brilliant. I mean, I'm obviously in silly season at the moment, looking at options and getting sponsorship together and getting any money that I possibly can to race next year. My parents have given me so much, and I've asked them for too much now, so it has to just be purely sponsorship and partnership money now. And I just, I'm actually at the point I feel bad for how much they've spent, because they're at their point in their lives where they want to be going on nice holidays together, and not having to spend a ridiculous amount of money on their child. So it's difficult, and that's why these kinds of things are incredible, I think. And I just want people to understand the true reason behind them. We just are trying to give people who have the talent but don't have the money more of a chance. And if they don't make it, then that's unfortunate. But we're trying, at least. But yeah, I think it is brilliant. And I hope W will come back as well. It's been so incredible for likes of Jamie Chadwick and Alice Powell. So hopefully that will also come back and we'll have both of the championships running. But we'll see. It's a difficult question. Honestly, I'd say something like Senna's McLaren, to be honest. It's such a legendary car. And it might sound like out of all the tracks in the world I could choose, this is quite a boring option, but Donington, just purely because of the time that do you remember, have you seen that race? Oh, it was just unbelievable. The man has just made so much history, and that car is incredible. And that race from Donington, I think I would have to choose Donington. Senna back into it. If I could change any time, I would change, obviously, when Senna passed. I think it's a shame because obviously he was such an incredible talent, and I think he had more championships to win that he didn't get to. So yeah, I'd probably change that. Best teammate so far. I would say recently, I'd say last year, I had a teammate, Adam Harding, when I did Saxos. We got along really well. We never had any incidents on track. That was good. Yeah, I'd say Adam was quite a good teammate. But actually, in karting, to be honest, I think I had a really good teammate when I raced for Canon Motorsport, and Leon Henderson. I didn't talk to Leon a lot, to be honest, but on track we worked quite well together. There was a few situations where we'd have to, I think he was in the lead and there was somebody in P2 and I was third, but they managed to pull a bit of a gap, but he knew that he couldn't get that guy to overtake him, so he managed to back him back towards me, and then I got him, and then it was obviously me and him, P1 and P2, and we crossed the line. And it was just little random moments that we worked together well on the track that yeah, it was actually quite good. But yeah, I'd have to say him and Adam. Yeah, I'm not gonna lie, I'm quite like thing about that. I've gotten a bit more like that this year, I would say. I've got more of a routine that I have. So I have a playlist on my phone that's exactly 14 minutes long. And so I play that when I start getting ready to get into the car. I do a warm-up, and then obviously I let the playlist finish, and then I get in the car. But my warm-up just consists of skipping, doing reaction times with like tennis balls. I do it with my coach, and then I sit on like the bench in the truck and I visualize a lap, and then my coach times it, and I try to get as close to my actual lap time around the track as I possibly can. And then I just get in the car and I go. It's trying to kind of get myself focused and reset and make sure I'm focused on what I have in the task in hand, 100%. And yeah, I do that every time, and every time I get in the car I get in from the left side. I have that weird thing as well. And there's just little things that will randomly happen. And then if I have a good race, I have to keep doing that from that day on. So it's just, yeah. In the future, oof, don't know. I think it's hard to say at the moment because obviously when you know what you're doing next year, it's kind of easier to then lead forward on. Um, my ultimate goal in motorsport is to be a paid driver. I obviously at the moment, I would, if I'm able to, I would love to continue in single seaters and see how far I can progress. And then if whenever whatever that point is, then I think you know, touring cars, GTs, like there's any route possible. I love all forms of motorsport. Just I would like obviously ideally would like to make a living out of it. So just yeah, we'll see where I'm meant to be. I still don't know where I'm meant to be at the moment, but hopefully 2023 will be a big year for me, I'm hoping. So hopefully I bring in the results and I show what I'm actually capable of, and that will lead further into my future to show what else I can do in different cars.